Hey everybody, Christy here. So, I wanted to talk about probably one of the most moving talks from Bob Heilig's summit and Impact and Growth Summit a couple weekends ago. Just from his talk, I legit wrote 4 pages front and back of notes. So I only have about 15 minutes before I have to jump off of here. So I'm not going to make it through it all, but I'm going to give you a few things to think about today. And honestly, this talk is what put into motion everything that is going to grow into dothethings.org and all that is going to have. So this is going to be one of those times where I'm just going to kind of go through my notes with you. I did not create a huge storyline for you because I think get your pens and paper and pencil ready and just take notes along. These are the notes I took. We can expand on it. We can chat about it, whatever you want to do. So you ready? Let's talk about it. He said, the life you have today is the one you're willing to put up with. Your pain isn't enough to do something bigger. How true is that? That's literally the first sentence I wrote, and I have 8 pages of notes. I took that, let me say it again. Your pain isn't enough to do something bigger. So I sat down with my husband about that. And at first, I thought it was my why. And he goes, it's not your why. He said, your why is big and it's real and it hasn't changed. And I said, okay, this was my pain. So I had to admit that when I first started in this industry, my pain was huge. I knew if I didn't make X amount of dollars every month that Isaac would not be able to finish his senior year or start his senior year at the private school he was at because Rob had lost his job. And then the next year, I needed to pay for him to go to college, and I put Andrew in private school. And Rob had started his own business, and we were barely getting by. Like, college and private school would not be in the budget at all. Many weeks we were struggling to figure out which account to pull from to buy groceries. So my pain for money was ginormous. I love giving gifts, but at this point we were just trying to, that Christmas, the second year he was in his company, we had used up all of our savings. There was no money. And I think that I was only able to spend like $50 on each kid for Christmas, maybe 60. And it broke my heart. Turns out they had a wonderful Christmas. It was so much love, but that just is the thing. That's my pain. So since Rob has started his new job and he makes a significant amount of money, I haven't been feeling that pain of needing money. I need to make X amount of dollars for us to be comfortable, but we're doing amazing things without me working hard enough to make any more. And so he really walked through some things that would be important for him to do, that he knows would be important for our kids to do, that we can literally only do if I make more money. And I can only make more money if I follow the habits it takes to be successful in my business. So sit down and talk to somebody. Like, find your pain, because when I talked through it with him, it really changed my perspective. And I think it opened up my mind to other things and other ways. And how do I grow and help others, which is truly my passion, while still growing my income. So sentence 1, note 1. He says, now let's go to 2. See how much I can get done in 15 minutes. Is your huge goal so big that it seems unrealistic and so it doesn't motivate you? Fear creates goals that are too big. You guys have never heard that before. Fear creates goals that are too big. You know why? Because then we have excuses. If our goal is too big and it's come from a place of fear rather than faith, we're not going to push towards it. We're going to be too afraid of it. So to get unstuck, get small. Again, not something I had ever thought about. But maybe I should say I never put it into those words, because you know what that is? That's doing the things. That's when I say you only need to do like 3 to 5 things each day to grow your business. Those are the small things. Get small. Focus on laying the little bricks one at a time down your pathway, and eventually you're going to get there. But if you're constantly just, looking so far away at your huge goal that it's overwhelming, you're not looking down to see, what do I need to do? What things do I need to do each day to get there? And then he said this: who do you want to be for your kids? What do you want them to learn from you? You guys, I got 4 kids that I want to learn so much from me. I want my kids to not believe that the only way to be a success is to go to college and get a traditional job and clock in and work 8 to 5, or like most people, 8 to 7, 8 to 6, get your paycheck, and that's your only option. Because that is not the only option. Not that I want all my kids to go in this industry, but I truly want them to find their passion and chase it like crazy. So he says, and you know what? That's part of what I'm doing. That's part of what I'm moving into, is like, I want to be more than, like, if you ask Andrew what I do, he'll say, my mom sells Plexus. You should try her kids' vitamins. They're fantastic. And he tells all of his friends and their parents that they should get the kids' vitamins. But what if they look back, and my legacy is that things that I dreamed up, I absolutely went for. And even if I failed, it didn't kill me. I didn't die. I learned from it, and I followed the path. Like, this is the little steps that I think my path is going in right now. Like, I thought it would just be a straight shot, but it's not. I've veered off, but I think it's still going to get me there. I have faith that it does. So Bob says, teach them to chase their dreams, to push past fears, and to achieve the things you want by setting that example. So he says, onto a little different note, you want to change the world, change yourself, and then change each person you come in contact with. And when you get clarity, you get rid of excuses. So I'm pretty clear right now on what I'm trying to do. I don't know how I'm going to get there. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what it's going to feel like. But I've prayed about it so much that I'm clear. I'm clear, and I don't have any excuses. I literally just have to do the things. Let's see. Okay, here is something else. I mentioned this in my video yesterday when I was in my bathrobe and getting ready. But this is where it came from. I told you that I didn't think that I would do anything outside of sharing these amazing supplements until I hit the top rank of the company. And then it would be okay for me to maybe do bigger trainings. Like, my dream has always been to speak on stage at convention. But then I realized, what if I could add value to so many other people, even outside of our company? And that's the thing. It's not about, like, don't put yourself in a hole that's too small. Like, what do you have to offer people all around you. So he did this thing, and he said, or maybe I just wrote this down. There are so many amazing leaders in my company. Why should I step up? So I don't feel like perhaps that I'm stepping up in our company because there's like no acknowledgement or recognition or anything from the company. But I feel like I'm stepping up for my team. I feel like I'm stepping up for the people on other teams. And I feel like at some point I'll be stepping up for people who are in other industries, or I don't know. I don't know what it's going to look like. Because my thought was there's already leaders doing what I want to do. So what do I have to offer? And that's where Emily Gibson's talk was so huge, because let me see if I can, she said this phrase over and over, and you probably saw it in her Instagram post, but what did she say? I don't want to screw it up. No one can take your place. God has given you God has put you in this place, and no one can take your place. So I'm going to end with a story that Emily Gibson told. She told a story of a girl who, as a little girl, played basketball, loved basketball. She lived near Brigham Young University, and she went to the games. And like her goal always, every practice, every game, her goal was to play for the BYU women's basketball team. And so she was going to be a freshman, and she found out when tryouts were going to be. And so she had the time. It was going to be at the Marriott Center, which is where the team plays, where there's a lot of all kinds of other things that happen at BYU are inside the Marriott Center. I actually have spoken inside the Marriott Center. So she went, and she opened the door, and they were already running drills. And she was like, oh my gosh, did I mess up the time? She closed the door. She didn't go in. She closed the door, and she's like, I just need a few minutes to like calm down, because they've already gotten started, and I'm late, and I don't want to mess it up, and I'm, gonna look like I don't have my act together. Well, she never actually went in the door. She talked herself out of it, and in her mind thought, well, if I was supposed to do it, I would have been on time. So I don't know what her role ended up being at BYU. I don't know her full story, but turns out about 10 years ago, that was in 1971, about 10 years ago, she was speaking, she was asked to speak to all the incoming BYU athletes. And, pep talk, motivation, welcome to the school, a little bit about everything. But she told a story, and she said she just wanted to congratulate each of them on making it onto the team and doing everything that was possible, whether they ever won a game or not, to get there, to be seated in that seat and named a BYU athlete. And she told the story about in 1971, she did not walk in she opened the door, practice had already started. And it just makes me so emotional. And she didn't follow through on the dream that like God had put on her heart for so long. So she tells this whole story, and the other person who was like, I think the main, what are they called when the moderator got up and said, this is not, I've never heard that story before. This is not part of anything, but do you know that I was the coach of that 1971 team? She was the coach of the women's basketball and volleyball team. And she said, of course, I've followed you forever. And she said, did you know that in 1971, I never filled my roster? We played one player short, because she avoided going to the games because she was so upset that she try out or make the team. So she just like walked away from, avoided the team. And the coach said, did you know that we played one man down in every game? I never filled my roster. And that story just goes to show no one can take your place. So it's up to you to figure out where your place is. And then it's up to you and me. I will help you. That's what I love doing, is figuring out what little things you need to do, what little blocks you need to put into place to become the person that you're supposed to. You are the person you're supposed to be, but who are you supposed to be a little bit down the road? Who are you supposed to be in a week? And how are we going to get there? Totally out of time. I got to get to Andrew's end of year school party. So I only covered page 1 out of 8 pages. But I will end with, when he talked about leaders in a company, he asked the question, and I don't know if you know this, but there were a lot of Plexus diamonds at this event, which for anybody who's not in Plexus, that's the very top of the company. And he said, well, anybody who considers themselves a leader in their company but suffers with self-doubt, please stand up. And the camera scanned. And do you know who I saw standing up in the crowd? Brooke Hemingway, Emily Gibson, Emily Fennell. Emily Fennell, in case you don't know, went Diamond Emerald yesterday. Brooke Hemingway will go Diamond tomorrow, if not today. Emily Gibson is a Diamond Emerald family. That means those 3 people who suffer from self-doubt stood up and acknowledged that they suffer from self-doubt. So if your self-doubt is holding you back, we've got to break through that. That's where we're going to keep talking mindset. We're going to keep talking little steps that you need to do. You know the things, you know to reach out, you know to follow up, you know to have your lists ready so that you can reach out and follow up. But what else do you need to know? What else do we need to work on? How else can I help you? Is it a one-on-one call with you like I did with Marquet? Is it, what does that look like? Because that's what's on my heart. That's where I think, when I read no one can take your place, that's what I feel. I feel like my place is to help other people get where they want to be. I think if I can do that, then I will have done my job. So that's it for the day. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will be back tomorrow. Have a great one.